Welcome everyone. It's Friday, but it's actually it's Thursday, and it's Thursday evening in Italy. Seth, what's going on here?
Yeah, we've got some special guests today, Scott. We've got Matteo and Walter joining us from the band Right Profile. This is a bit of we've done one interview before, but we've not had anybody live on video. So we're excited to do something a little different and go international here for the first time.
I got to say, I'm pretty excited. First of all, that I'm up here on a Thursday morning, even though please don't look at my face. I actually didn't have a rough night. But want to introduce our friends from Milan. Matteo, Walter, you have the floor is yours.
Hi, welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Ciao, everybody.
It's great. Yes, it's 6 p.m. We are secretly having a couple of beers here off screen.
Because hey, it's Europe, man. It's Europe. I mean, this is what they do. Well, exactly. I got to say this. Seth, I was so pleasantly surprised. I get a message from Matteo, and just to tell our audience here, Matteo and I go way back when I used to live in Europe, and actually Seth, Matteo and I are all colleagues of the same company. And last time I saw Matteo was at his house party in Milan. He's banging on the drums and he's wearing a toga. And I said, this guy is going to go far in music. And I was so happy.
That's the same thing we think about him, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And I was so excited to hear about the new EP and the new band, Right Profile, that we just had to bring you on. So again, as Seth said, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about this band.
You start.
Should I start? All right. So as you mentioned, I used to play wearing a toga. That went on for quite many years. It was a way to hang out with friends and have a great time. It was a great party band. But I really wanted to get back into composing and arranging and producing original material. So I went the classic way. I put out a classified ad, and Walter is among those who responded. We, tried out, and the spark was there from the beginning.
From the first phone call, I remember we were on the phone like about 1 hour.
Over an hour, discussing influences. Who do you like? You like
music, and discovering that we both like the not the same records, but several directions were already there. So it was fertile ground from the beginning. Was weird and exciting.
Yeah. And what was I'm always curious, what was the framing of the ad? Like, what was the language? Sometimes I've heard funny ones, I've heard very specific influences.
Seeking single male. Was it one of those?
Yes.
Like that, because you were talking about
yeah, so I was talking about somebody, to start a path, a new musical path, but in a way that is wasn't too serious. I mean, you gotta have fun while you're doing it, of course. And the influences that I was mentioning was a lot of American hardcore punk from Black Flag, Minutemen.
Okay, so when we read the ad from Matteo, we were really surprised, me and Raffaele, the other guy in the band, which unfortunately is not here right now, because he was mentioning Husker Du, John Spencer Blues Explosion, and Morphine, which in our mindset, I mean, we come from punk rock and from indie rock, was a weird but very interesting mix of influences, because, Morphine is a kind of bluesy indie band, and the John Spencer Blues Explosion, of course, is real, down to heart and hot rock and roll. And at the same time, Husker Du was the first explosion of, post-hardcore, post-punk in America. Yep. So it was a really fertile ground, as I said before. Really.
Yeah, and Walter and Matteo, how were your first sessions? Right, obviously the first interview went well. You got together.
I should say that I tried 2 other bands, and there was not the same type of connection. There was not the same type of immediate with these guys. We sat down and classic, we look at each other and are like, what are we playing? and we kind of immediately went off into New Day Rising. Just that was the very first thing we played. You know, so
it went really well. I mean,
yeah.
Last week we heard the file.
Yes, we went back to listen to that recording.
It was the first time ever we were playing together, you know, and it went really, you know, very straight to the point. Really,
it was magic.
Yeah, it was magic, and that magic, really short after, come cazzo si dice? Si è trasfusa. Si è messa nella,
well, it went on to transfer into, I don't know what he's thinking. He's asking me to translate his thoughts into Italian, into English. So
man, this is a global podcast.
Okay, I keep it short. The musical magic was really going into relationship magic. So it was really a great click.
In my observation, even talking to you guys now, it doesn't feel like you guys met 2 or 3 years ago through a classified ad. It feels like there's very clearly a connection to me in the way you guys are talking about what you love, and like I can see and hear the relationship in front of me. In that, I'm sure translate to the music as well. So that's really cool to see.
It is. This is true, because I can honestly say I did not just find 2 musicians, but I really found 2 friends, which is not kind of unusual once you're reaching 50. And so a good thing I think that I'm convinced has helped is Walter lives in Novara, which is about 40 minutes from Milan. So he takes the train to come into the city, which shows his motivation. Takes the train every week to come to rehearsal and so forth. But sometimes it's just too late for him to get back home, and he crashes at my house. And these have been moments of great bonding. We listen to music, discuss, and re-listen to what we've recorded, but also to new music, etc. So yes, this has helped a lot, building the relationship, as you say.
It sounds almost like a perfect scenario for a band documentary there. I mean, I just love it because I love studying, obviously, the history of bands, and Seth and I talk about where bands get started, and we've even gone to some of the studios. And it sounds like here that's what's forming, and what's behind you. Where are we at now? This is going to be that soon to be legendary place. And sure. What do you call it? What do you call it?
We call it The Cave. Very original, because it's actually in a cave. So
hey, and this is just not a cave. This is a Milan, right? This is old, cave. Right? This is not America. Like, this is 30-year-old building.
No, it's a little older. Not that old though. It's probably a house from the 30s, 1900s, obviously. And this is our practice room. It's stuffed with instruments. Hardly any space left, but we like it. We like it a lot, and it is our little hangout.
So you guys are a 3-piece, obviously, on the EP. Are you bringing anybody else in ever to jam with you guys at the Cave? Are you strictly a 3-piece and working with that dynamic, or have you explored other avenues?
No, for the moment at least, we really like the 3-piece formula, power trio. I think that it's what allows for the best dynamics, interaction between players, because everybody's got to do their own and more. You know, you can't rely on anybody else to. So everybody in the 3-piece has to do a lot of work because it's a key element. Obviously, it's like, you know, a stool with 3 legs. You take one out, and it doesn't stand anymore. Yeah. So I play a lot off of the bass, but sometimes also the guitar, sometimes the vocals, it depends. But I really need to hear, and there's a lot of interaction. And we try to write and compose, I don't know if that came through in the recording, but with parts that are really complementary, but not necessarily the same. I mean, the bass is hardly ever doing the same thing that the guitar is doing. Yeah. It's not just beefing up the guitar sound. It's really, it has its own voice and different melodic line, which is intended to work with the rest.
Yeah, the thing I noticed is that we work on layers of sound. You know, it's like we build a layer, and then on that another layer. So it's a bit of coloring the music, you know, instead of just melodic lines. More how can I say, the ambience is very important. The amount of energy you put in one execution, or the amount of stillness you put in some poses. So it's layers. I don't know any other word to describe.
No, it makes total sense. It almost sounds like you're describing Italian cuisine too. How beautiful that is with the hey man,
this is a fun fact. This is a fun fact for you, because you're mentioning cuisine. Cuisine for us is culture, etc. You should know that both Walter and Raffaele live here, but are originally from Naples.
Okay.
So,
oh my God.
There is, we often
man.
joke, we often have these conflicts, but interesting cultural clashes between my mentality in Northern Italy, productivity, getting down to business, and they are fantastic.
But the weird thing is that he's the southern man and we both are northern. So we consider ourselves totally the other way around.
So Seth, this would be akin to like a East Coast, West Coast right here, but let's go back old school. This is very old school with Naples versus Milan. But hey, diving into the actual album, Act One. So what was the vision behind it? The songwriting, the theme, and the tones.
Look, we in general we have a set that is quite different. I mean, songs are I would say mostly different one from the other. It's partly a choice and partly, but I would say actually partly the result of the choice of not sticking to a single genre. I mean, from the start, we said, if we like something, we'll play it. We don't care. We don't want to be labeled. We don't want to be, considered within, which has had its issues on the side, which we can talk later, especially finding a scene to play live. But at the same time, yes, we tried to distill that these were basically some of the first songs we wrote. We had a few others. We like these ones, these 5 best to start. But we try to reproduce this, heterogeneity, this beautiful composition of taste and moods.
Yeah, I will say I've felt it across a few of the songs, because there's a few that I almost get kind of like a not quite jazzy, but some sort of that interplay. I can hear it. But then there's other songs like Kiss where I'm like, this is like 2000s New York City Strokes, like not quite garage rock, but has some of that feel to it. And so it does bounce around, and it's interesting to see how they live together on the EP and kind of contrast each other in a really interesting way. So I don't know if that's what you're going for, but that's what I was hearing listening to it.
Well, this is the moment where it's really up to the public to say, how they're perceiving this. And our intention was, well, let's give you a sample, a taste of Right Profile. And to tell you the truth, we recorded 2 songs initially. The very first, which were Kiss and Sunny House. And I was unhappy because I thought it only gave one dimension. They're the poppier songs, a little more accessible. And I said, we need to record more, because if we just come out with these, people will think that we're kind of a power pop band or something. It's only given one side.
Indie pop,
Yes, we have more sides that we want to show. And actually, we're starting to work on Act 2, which will be even more different songs
and atmospheres.
And atmospheres, yes.
Well, what are you? Because one of the influences I read on your Spotify profile, which I encourage everyone, of course, to go and follow, is The Police, which is obviously a power trio, which to me had a variety of styles, from punk to reggae, and obviously the interplay between those. Was that an influence as you guys were? Yeah,
huge. It's probably our biggest common influence that we all refer to, because then everybody has different. There's some overlapping, but I would probably say that The Police is one of the strongest one, if not the strongest one. And it's not so much a matter of styles, but it's the way you approach the songwriting, which was typical, I think, of The Police, that they really worked on arrangements incredibly. If you take the arrangements out, a lot of The Police songs are actually quite simple, but it's the arrangement and the execution that just take them to a different level. They were amazing musicians.
Something about the Police. I mean, they were my favorite band during my teenage years, among with a lot of other bands. But in this project, the Police mean not only their craftsmanship in songwriting, but especially their ability to be so smart in conveying a lot of good music in such an economic and effective way. You know, the nervousness of the Police is what runs beneath this band.
Beneath the surface,
with a lot of nervousness.
No, I can see that, especially with your last track, Disintegration. I mean, there is that sense of this, I won't say anxiety.
No way are we comparing ourselves to the Police. Full disclaimer.
Hey,
okay.
Hey, we got Husker Du, we got the Police. You guys love trios. I can see it. I can see that interplay. And I was gonna say, Walter's even got a little bit of a Bob Mould look to him on his current tour. I saw him in Chicago a few years ago.
Guess this, man. My nickname on Facebook is Bob Mould too.
I believe it. Okay, so my eyes don't deceive me.
Yeah. Also because it's my, I don't have any myth. I don't have any hero, but he's my guru anyway.
Yes, I love it.
We like it. So going into your live, you had alluded to your live experience and how you position yourself, and Matteo as a marketer. How do you describe yourselves? Someone says, "Hey, I want to book you." What's right profile? What do you say?
This has been a huge source of discussions among ourselves.
Okay,
we settled for the moment for garage rock.
Because we are supposed to be college rock.
We're a bit too old to be labeling ourselves college rock band. And yes, we had to finally choose a label, a genre, because you're right. It's hard otherwise to convey what you are. So we think that this is possibly what comes the closest. And again, we're really not hung up on the genre, and you'll hear music quite different. I'm not saying we'll go.
Yeah, Scott, we are trying to put ourselves in that history and that timeline when punk rock and hardcore became smart and values in the late 80s, early 90s. So that's the beginning of our, maybe our commitment in playing music when we were kids or young men. But, at the same time, was come si dice ripetibile? Was a time frame that can be repeated in history. We think. So, but anyway, we are not nostalgic, or we are not, because we are talking about Husker Du and Police, but at the same time, the war on drugs or Thin Lizzy. I mean, whatever, wherever the sound is rich and is smart, we like it, and we wanna,
Yeah, I think, and it's Seth, I think our impressions were, it sounded fresh, and I think there is one of the things is your Italian point of view, that it's not a cover band. And that's what I always find funny in working in a global arena, is that layer, and you're just like when you hear rock from Germany or music from England, there is a different sentiment. And what do you feel that brings? Is it more emotion than the Midwestern Husker Du? Where is that coming in?
As I said, the influences are there. They're obviously, I've mentioned some, but then it is filtered through each one of our own personal experiences, both musical and non-musical, life, existential. So we have the disadvantage of being old, not young, not super young, okay, but also the advantage of having lived a few decades and seen a lot of things and hearing a lot of things, and we're able to filter all this and bring it back. Plus, life hasn't always been easy, and it's funny because I feel more of an anger inside now than when I was 20. I feel more ready to play, the real punk rock attitude now than when I was maybe 30 years back. So
And it's authentic, right? That's authentic. Like you've earned that anger.
Our live shows are a lot more intense and, let's say, bordering violent than the recordings. Yes.
Yeah. It's more like an experience. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I mean,
and yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
We sound like Madane sometimes, or the shitty Madane, of course.
Yeah.
We sound shitty Police, So
it's a good band name.
Anytime, I mean, we always joke about the fact that we are a shitty band that sometimes can play so fucking good, but we remain a shitty band.
Oh, I love that attitude. I also think it leaves room to sort of like, but we can get, we can continue to grow. We can continue to get better. So talk a little bit about, if I may ask you, you reference your live shows again. Where do you find yourselves falling in? You said because there's such an interesting mix of music, it's like, who do we play with? What's the right venue? What have you found? Like, tell us about an experience you've had that was really unexpectedly positive, and then maybe one where, like, as soon as you started playing, you're like, this is not the audience for us. Like, have you had that yet?
Okay, no, I cannot say that we've had a situation where we said, this is definitely not for us, except maybe the acoustic. We tried once to play like an acoustic setup a la Violent Femmes, and it was just there, and I didn't have a bass drum. I was, what the hell? I feel crippled here. No, this is not good. This could be the only time.
Matteo is the only pro in the band. We are two amateurish guys. He's the pro.
No unplugged. I get it. There's not going to be a Right Profile unplugged album.
No, I don't think so. But other than that, we try to find situations where we think we can definitely fit in, and it tends to be places that are not too small. We can't really play pubs. We're too loud. So unless it's a big pub with a big stage. But we've played with different bands. Initially, especially, we didn't have enough songs, so we were trying to find opening slots and supporting bigger bands. And we have played, well, I would say the best one so far, the most intense and exciting one has been when we played in Naples. So we went to Naples opening for a band that is called Cut from Bologna. We played with
them. Friends. They are 50 years old right now as a band. So they are a very long
25 years old.
25.
Okay.
Got it.
Wow.
Naples,
well, Naples was amazing because basically we were supposed to play in this ancient historical recording studio, from the late 1800s, which obviously has been upgraded over the years. The recording room is like 1,300 square feet, something like that. It's used to record orchestras, so it's huge.
Or hood.
Yes. Yeah. And we got there on the Friday. We're supposed to play on the Saturday night. On Saturday at 2 p.m., we get a call saying there has been an issue. The venue cannot host you anymore. So the organizers, this bunch of friends from Naples, the organizers basically in the course of one afternoon found a different location. We went from being the super cool recording into basically a squat.
Like an abandoned warehouse or something.
This was downstairs in Naples. Underneath is all dug out, and so you have all these tunnels and these ancient caves and so forth. So, and you have to believe it was pouring rain, which is not that usual. And they managed to bring all the PA, all the instruments, the bar, which is the most important thing, of course. The bar over underground in the little streets of Naples, and we had a concert there. And it's really the DIY attitude that we like.
Over there, we discovered, that we were totally cool with that. That was once again our family, our house, our way to be, the way we wanted our band to be ready to play whenever a problem occurs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It sounds like a next scene of a movie. And it sounds like we want the live album. There'll be some bootleg live from the cave, from the Naples cave. Well, listen, guys, and going now to Act 2. Matteo, you had mentioned that you're still trying to push the boundaries of your musical influences. Where are you going now? Where's the sound going to?
Well, I don't think it's a revolution. It's going to be an evolution.
Okay.
We are a very young band. We are not even 2 years old. So we're just evolving in the way we're playing together, writing and arranging. And so it's just the next step. We're taking it a bit further. Hopefully this will come through. But, it's a few months down. I think we'll start to do some pre-production this summer. And between, September and December, sometime there we'll issue something else. Hopefully, that's the intention. Right now, we're still enjoying very much Act One and the feedback we're getting, which, by the way, has been surprisingly good. I mean, honestly, we basically initially started this project because we needed a demo tape. The modern version of a demo tape. But this was actually received as our first record,
which is weird.
Yeah.
By the press, by the specialized press of Italy. So magazines coming out in the newsstand, not just online, print. We've been getting reviews, which is very impressive, unexpected, and makes us happy.
And I got to be honest, when I heard it, I think, Matteo, you had sent me, we had, communicated here and there, and I immediately responded, and I was like, was this, wow. Again, I saw you in a toga in your house party years ago, and I just wanted to say congratulations, obviously, to you and Walter and Raphael, who's not there. It was impressive. And Seth and I said, hey, we got to get you on the show. And
absolutely. Nothing about this sounds, I'm sure you guys polished it up as things are going on, but nothing about this stylistically sounds like a demo tape to me. This feels like a relatively realized set of songs that I'm sure, like you said, will evolve, but like, this ain't a demo. It sounds amazing. We're as excited about it as you guys are. Absolutely.
This was recorded basically in two separate sessions, one day each, and you had twice half a day for mixing. It was done really quickly.
In a rush, yeah.
Of course, we layered some guitars, etc. But that was all done, in the same day as we were recording the rest. Actually, and this is just fun anecdote. We recorded at the end of January the last three songs. Wow, which were actually number 1, 2, and 5 on the album.
Yeah.
And I had injured myself in the mountains skiing.
Okay, gotcha.
So my arm was hurting like crazy. I went into the studio saying, I'll play it once, maybe twice. If the drums are good, I'm done. And actually, this is basically what went on. It was take 1 or take 2 really quickly. There are, you can tell. You can tell it's real. You can tell there's not a lot of
real is good.
We call it authentic. It's authentic, Matteo. And now we have a story behind the drumming, which is even cooler, right? A skiing accident.
One of these the reviews, which comes from a very good rock journalist in Italy, which is called Andrea Valentini from Rumore, which is a big rock magazine in Italy. He ends up the review saying come tu traduci, they are true till their heart, which I don't know if I translate good.
No. So real it hurts.
So real it hurts.
That's good, man.
Which for us was a really, enlightenment of what we are doing, because that's exactly, the spirit we play and we go with this project.
Yeah.
I mean, we really boosted up with energy, and sometimes it's too true to handle. How can I say?
I got you. No,
and in the case of recording that song, it literally hurt. So this makes complete sense.
It's a sacrifice for the sound. Well, listen, guys. Hey, I on behalf of Seth and I and our listener base at D-Side Stories, we want to say grazie mille. Thank you. We had just so much fun listening to the album. For all our listeners out there, the band, Right Profile, the EP, Act 1 on Spotify. Encourage you guys all to go out there, have a listen, send an email, send messages to us, let us know what you think. And Matteo and Walter, grazie. You guys keep it up and make it hurt.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
See you soon.
See you guys.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.